Hey, how is it going? Domo, genki ni yattemasu ka? Host here, Andrew Van Zark, drummer slash music producer. Here to talk everything that involves drums and drummers, and today's topic is the top 10 rock drummers of all time. What good is jamming on guitar if your rhythm section isn't tight? In the pocket, in the simply hearted backdrop on which you can slap melodies and riffs, the drums are the essential backbone of a band. A bad drummer loses a listener. A good drummer keeps the audience engaged and bobbing their heads along to the beat. Gibson.com is pleased to pay homage to such drum stars with their top 10 rock drummers of all time. Number 10. Ringo Starr, the drummer for the Beatles. Ringo Starr was far from a flashy drummer, and he saved his only drum solo in the Beatles for the last song in their final album. But even with a low-key profile, Ringo was the integral part of the Beatles. Not only did his inventive offbeat drumming help give the Beatles a unique sound, but he fulfilled other band roles. Ringo was seen as the most relatable Beatle and eventually became the moderator during the band arguments, especially in the later days. After the Fat Four disband, Starr went solo, and he had many great solo hits, with Photograph, You're 16, and It Don't Come Easy. Without Ringo, the Beatles wouldn't be the Beatles. Number 9. Stuart Copeland, the drummer for The Police and Oysterhead. Stuart Copeland is famed for his imaginative fusion of rock, jazz, Middle Eastern, and reggae beats. As drummer for The Police, he brought momentum and excitement to Sting's melodies. After The Police warped up touring in 1984, Copeland dabbled in experimental projects with Les Claypool, Oysterhead, Orchestrally, his orchestra project, and composed soundtracks for movies Airborne, Wall Street, Highlander 2, The Quickening, and others. Number 8. Josh Freese, the drummer for A Perfect Circle, Devo, and 9 Inch Nails. One of the most sought-after studio drummers in rock music, both for his precision and jackhammering grooves. Josh Freese has appeared in nearly 300 records, including Puddle of Mudd, The Offspring, and Three Doors Down, Avril Lavigne, and Tracy Bonham. He's also the skin man for A Perfect Circle, Devo, and the Vandals, and has toured with 9 Inch Nails and Guns N' Roses. Not many drummers can honestly claim to have experience in every single style of music, from rock to jazz to metal, but his capability runs the gamut of modern music. Number 7. Ginger Baker, the drummer for Cream. During his time manning the drum kit for Cream, Ginger Baker essentially invented the rock drum solo. His pioneering of use of double bass drums marked Baker as one of the most influential drummers of the 60s, with a thick, thunderous sound that has inspired nearly every heavy metal drummer that's followed. Even after Cream broke up in 1968, Baker went on to prove it's just influential in world music and jazz, demonstrating a true talent that transcended genres. Number 6. Dream Theater's drummer. As drummer and founding member of Dream Theater, Mark Portnoy helped define the progressive rock drumming style with a basic but meticulous approach to technique. While Portnoy wasn't the fastest player or flashiest soloist, his main objective was to serve the greater musical picture and experiment whenever it fit. It is careful attention to detail and creativity that caught the attention of young metalers Avenged Sevenfold, who recruited Portnoy to tour with them in 2010. While the move shocked Dream Theater fans, it showed Portnoy's continued motivation to evolve and take on stunning challenges. Number 5. Lars Ulrich, the drummer for Metallica. Metal hasn't seen a more interesting and perhaps eccentric drummer than Lars Ulrich. As founding member, songwriter, and drummer for metal Goliaths, Metallica, Ulrich has been the thrashing force behind some of the best-known metal tracks ever recorded. His drumming style is simple, but always smart and strong. He doesn't get in the way of the message with flashy fills and double bass drumming, but instead uses restraint with his drum parts, leaving the basic, muscular essentials. With Metallica's massive influence, it's no wonder Ulrich is one of the most popular and inspiring drummers of the past few decades. Number 4. Dave Grohl, the drummer for Nirvana, Foo Fighters, Them Crooked Vultures. Rock's hardest working drummer during his time with Nirvana, Dave Grohl first took the mic on Marigold of Nirvana's Heart-Shaped Box. Grohl has gone on to front to the Foo Fighters on 7 studio albums, but hasn't left his drumming talents behind, making a much anticipated return to the drums on Queens of the Stone Age's album, and with the supergroup Them Crooked Vultures. Grohl has come a long way since his early heavy-handed drumming with Freak Babies and Scream, and it's a career filled with taking chances and following his heart. It's no wonder everyone wants to jam with him. Number 3. Keith Moon, the drummer for The Who. King Moon's wild drum technique was part of The Who's core, and they haven't sounded the same since he passed away in 1978. Moon played the skin with the kind of untamed recklessness that most school drummers before him would have seen as crazy. But it's that intensity that brought such personality to The Who and made Moon's wild brash playing the soul of the band. His solo album, Two Sides of the Moon, captured his spirit, bringing a bizarre haunting blend of the 50s and 60s rock and roll, pushing characters into every beat. Number 2. Neil Peart, the drummer for Rush. Drummer and lyricist for Rush, Neil Peart is hailed in many circles as a quintessential rock drummer. He's known for his ingenious drum parts and intense solos, which lead passages that rock hard and proof the drums. Indeed, can be the lead instrument. No Rush concert is complete without Peart's sparking. Obligatory drum solo and his syncopated drumming style certainly has its own distinct sound and aura. You can always tell when it's Peart's playing. Number 1. John Bonham, the drummer for Led Zeppelin. Bonzo was famous for his speed, intensity, and swift right foot, but all above, he was a soul drummer. Even with all the attention given to his dazzling soloing, cool beats and fills, and bass drum, know-how in the end, John Bonham was simply a groover. For this ability to make a band sway and groove like no other, never hogging the spotlight or remaining solo champion of Led Zeppelin. Gilson.com recognizes him as their top rock drummer, and talented, unrevealed, and irreplaceable. Hope you all enjoyed, and stay tuned for more on the subject of drums and drummers. And also stay tuned for my next drum video, which is the 80s Ages Mix. And as always, minasan, mata ne!